Welcome to Hammer and Nails with Skip and Allison Bedell.
Check mix. Checks mix.
Hey, 1 2 1 2. Microphone check 1 2 1 2.
Hi.
What are you doing, crazy girl?
I'm Allison Bedell.
I am Skip Bedell.
And
What's
this
happening, everybody?
is Hammer and Nails.
Oh, it's very dramatic.
I know. I'm feeling
Wow.
so dramatic.
Oh my god! You should get a job as like a ring announcer. You know, like in like the.
That's what I felt like when I
or-
was fat. Like, and in this corner, weighing in at 180.
It's the big bitch. Super heavyweight lard ass class. Wow.
Yeah.
No, I can totally see you doing that. You have like you got that whole big voice thing going on.
Yeah. Big voice.
What's going on, chica?
So much. First, let me remind everybody that it's approaching closely, so you and I will be at the Nassau County Home Show April 9th at Hofstra
Oh,
University.
we're doing it together?
Well, you're doing it. I'm just going to be there, cheering you on.
No, you're going to be there with me, though,
Yeah.
right? I mean, yeah.
I'm your number one fan.
Nobody wants to meet me. Everybody wants to meet you.
No, but we'll both be there.
You're much better to look at anyway. So
You know, there's also another home show this weekend.
Whoa.
Actually, it's a first-time home show for Suffolk at this Suffolk location by us. So,
Oh.
figure maybe we'll stop by there and check out the
where is that
vendors.
going to be?
In Selden at that new arena
Oh,
on the corner
right,
of
right.
83 and 25.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
For those of you who live on Long Island.
Yeah, we're just
or
going to
in
be
the
there
New York area.
as consumers.
Right.
We'll check that out this weekend.
Shuffling around.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but you know, do not approach us because it's not official.
Right.
We're not like officially getting paid to be there, okay?
Right.
Of course you can we say hi to everybody.
All the time. You know, it's funny because, remember the other day we were in, where were we? We were in Target, right? We're in Target.
God, yeah.
We're birthday card present shopping for like my mom and brother-in-law to be and a few birthdays coming up, right?
And there was a very suspicious looking guy, old guy, standing at the end of the aisle.
It's like the weirdest thing, man. Like, you know, I don't, this is like the whole thing of like people knowing who you are and you don't know who they are. It's
Yeah.
like, it's really strange to me and I'm still not used to it. Like we've been doing the TV show for a couple of years now and like people approach us everywhere we go.
And
they're
usually
always,
for me, I'm thinking somebody going to be like, you bitch, you put me in jail.
yeah, right.
Like, because I don't remember anybody because I meet
please,
so
are
many
you kidding
people.
me with all the dudes that I screamed at on national television and like cursed them out and made them look like idiots?
Yeah.
Well, we're bound to get shot at someday, I think.
Yeah.
From a moving car or something.
Yeah.
No, but it's weird. Like, I'm still not used to it. Like, everywhere we go, it's like on planes or like getting to the airport or even just like in Target the other day. We're in Target. I'm in the aisle with birthday cards. And some dude, like an old guy, passes by, and I can see him out of the corner of my eye. Like he went past the aisle, pushing his shopping cart, and all of a sudden he kind of like backed up, and he's walking backwards. And
he had like a really strange look on his face, though. Like, did you steal my lunch money? Like he had a look on his face. It wasn't just
it was weird,
right? It was a weird
so
look.
I'm talking to you, and I'm kind of like checking them out in my peripheral because I'm always like kind of on the lookout, you know, for people. I don't know, it's just the way I am, I guess. And you're like that too, though, with the whole, you know, private eye thing you got going on. And I mean, you just can tell when people seem suspicious, right?
My nature is not to put on the friendly face when people are standing there staring.
Oh, no, to the contrary, you have bitch face.
Not only do I have resting bitch face, but when I see people like
what is the
staring,
difference between resting bitch face and like active bitch face?
Because active bitch face is you're being bitchy for a fucking reason. And resting bitch face means that even when I'm happy and I just have a straight face, I look like a bitch. So I definitely have resting bitch face.
I must be used to that because you just look good to me. So I can't.
Well, because
really
when I'm
tell.
around you, I smile because you make me happy.
Okay.
So
yeah, this guy like backed up a little bit. I mean, if it was like, if it was produced, it would have been like beep, beep, beep. Like I saw his head enter the aisle before the rest of them did. You know, he did like one of these, like.
And you were
in.
on the phone.
I was on the phone talking to somebody. I don't know, and then like I got off the phone. Oh no, he was going, hey, big guy. Hey, you big guy, and I could hear him and I could see him, but I'm still like having my conversation on the phone, and which was ending. So when I hung up the phone, he's now on his like fifth, like, hey, big guy, and like waving his hand to me. So I turn and I looked at him, I'm like, hey, how you doing? And I figured at that point he was probably like a Catch a Contractor fan or somebody, right? So he starts coming over to me and puts his hand out, as like many people do. They don't want to shake their hand, whatever, you know. And I'm not one of those like germaphobes or whatever. I'll shake everybody's hand. I don't care. I will. But something really like not good happened when I shook his hand. I shook his hand and there was this cold, wet, clammy feeling. It was like wet. You know, and I'm thinking, oh, man, this guy's got really sweaty, nasty hands, right? Mm-hmm. And then I look down, and
his pants are unzipped?
No. Oh, fuck. That's all I need. The guy's like spanking it in the aisle at Target.
Once he saw you, baby.
Hey, Catch a Contractor. Opens up his trench coat. So as I'm just, my hand is just like parting from his. I could see in his hand was like a folded up, it looked like a little wet wipe.
Fuck.
A little moist nap or something. Like he had just been wiping. I'm hoping to God it was a wet wipe and it wasn't some other.
Well, you know, at the entrance of Target, they have those antibacterial wipes.
Yeah,
where
but
you
don't
can wipe
you do
down
that
the
on the way out? Like after you're touching the carts and stuff and all that?
No, I grab that on the way in because I clean off the handle on the cart. So, because if I'm going to be pushing a cart, I want it to be disinfected before I touch it.
I'm thinking on the way out from touching all the carts and merchandise and shit, you wash your hands. Like, don't they have like the hand gel and stuff dispensers?
Some places do, but I noticed.
All right, so anyway, his hands are wet, and I look down and he must either forgot that it was in his hand or whatever.
And he handed it to you?
But as soon as my hand came off of his hand, I see it. You know, like when someone goes to pass you something and they pretend they're shaking your hand, like they pass it in your hand, right? You know?
Like money for drugs?
Whatever. I mean, I would know about those things, you know. I don't know what you're talking about. So anyway, I see the little white thing, and then now I look at my hand and I'm like, oh, I could tell I had like a look on my face, like, oh. And then he looks at his hand, and he looks at me looking at my hand, and he looks up at me, and his eyes got real big, and he's like, oh, and he didn't know what to say. And then he took the thing out of his hand and put it in his coat pocket, whatever the fuck it was. I don't know what it was.
Maybe it was boogers.
I don't know, man, but I was just skeeved out. I was like, no.
And
God damn it.
And he was like, he was a guy who looked like somebody that I would worry about, like, oh, cooties.
I don't know.
He didn't look like, he looked disheveled.
All right. Well, he might have been a very nice person. I felt bad.
I'm not talking about his personality. I'm saying he might have been dirty.
The second after I slapped his hand with a nasty thing in it, my phone rang again. I just happened to be getting a bunch of phone calls. And he started talking to me like just as our hands came apart. He's like, oh, your partner Adam is really funny and this and that. And then all of a sudden, like, bring. And when the phone rang, and I'm like, excuse me 1 second. And at that point, I just wanted to go dry my hand. I wanted to wipe my hand like on the back of your jacket or something.
But instead, you were getting it on your phone.
I think I wiped it on your back or something.
Fuck you.
Did you feel me like rub your back like, oh, honey, I love you?
No.
I gave you a little back massage?
No,
that was me drying the jizz off my hand.
You made a beeline for the bathroom, actually, after that phone call.
I did, yeah. I had to wash everything then. And I'm not like, you know, I don't care. I touch shit. I work on plumbing and people's shit pipes in their house and everything else. Like, I'll wash my hands a lot during the day. I have stuff in the truck, whatever. But it's like, I could do that, like work stuff all day, and it doesn't bother me. But it's something about like somebody else and whatever was on his hand that was nasty. I'm like, So now like I had to go. And then I realized that after I shook his hand with my right hand, I reached back in my pocket and took out my phone and answered it with my
contaminated your
still wet right hand. Yeah. So now I had to wipe the phone
and then you
down.
had to go to the bathroom, and then you put that still wet right hand on your man meat.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Nope. I went right. I actually had to go to the bathroom anyway, so I had to go, take a leak there, and the first thing I did was wash and then use the bathroom and then wash again on the way out. Yeah, I didn't even want to touch my own junk. I don't touch anything. You know, I was like, oh,
you are the cleanest man I've ever known.
Yeah, but I'm not like phobic about it. I'm not like overly.
No, but I mean, cooties are cooties. It's who wants to shake like a clammy hand.
I see, that's my problem. I feel bad about stuff. Like, I felt bad that I blew the guy off, and I didn't blow him off because he had a nasty, clammy hand. I blew him off because my phone was ringing.
Yeah.
And as it turns out,
well, you have a life,
I know, but I always want to be nice to people. Like, people always.
You were nice.
People are always very, very nice and very complimentary, always about the show, especially in person. They always say great things, and I appreciate that.
You were nice.
So I take time to talk to them, but that was just one of those experiences I wish I kind of would have been like, yeah.
You know what? I have lots of experiences meeting disgusting people who want to shake my hand, and I don't
shake everything,
and I don't want to shake it back. And what I usually do is I go, I'm just like I'm just getting over the flu, or I'll say like, I feel like I'm getting sick, and you don't want to touch me. Like, I'll make it like,
it's
like,
you,
it's me, it's not you.
Yeah, you got cooties.
Yeah, but like I'll hold it with my hands like,
you
and
don't
want to
shake my hand.
No.
I'm all.
Yeah. And then they're like, okay, no one's going to argue with that. And then they say, all right, goodbye, and they walk away. You need to get used to doing that.
No.
If the person looks suspicious.
Well, listen,
if they're bleeding from their hand with an open
wound.
What
they look like. You don't know where their hands have been. It could have been up his nose, up his ass crack. Who knows? Who knows? He could be the nicest looking guy in the world. Like, don't judge a book by its cover. Sure. Then, like, the nastiest looking dude.
But you can't help but judge a book by its cover.
Might actually be really super clean.
Wouldn't you say that's just human nature, though? Really?
It is. I mean,
because a better-looking person you're going to be less suspect of something disgusting than a person who looks like fucked up, like a bum.
Yeah.
You're going to assume that the bum has serious cooties.
Well, we get that all the time with like being tattooed and everything. We both each have a lot.
We
of
have
ink.
cooties.
Yeah, we have a lot of ink. So it's like I think people, although now like tattoos are definitely much more socially accepted. I mean, there's a million TV shows about so everybody wants to get tattooed now.
There's still fucking people who are like so judgmental about it though, because they're still like, I won't get a tattoo, or I can't be buried in a Jewish cemetery.
Oh, that looks good on you, but I'm not. No, I can't do. I would never do that to my body, but it looks good on you.
I actually had some bitch at work. We were all, like, it was a group of us talking, and this fucking bitch is like, oh no, I wouldn't get a tattoo because then one day you're going to be in the nursing home and you're going to have all these tattoos. And I'm like, what? So you're fucking living for when you're in a nursing home? Like, right now your life is planning for when you're in the nursing home, you loser. You fucking loser. Really? You're going to fucking judge me because when you're going to be in a fucking nursing home.
I'm already stocking up on Depends, just so you know. So if you notice, the whole right side of the tool shed is all like already boxed up to the.
Well, that's actually for when you hurt your back and you can't make it to the bathroom. You've been using those.
Yeah, you better get ready to start changing.
Having
them,
your shitty diaper.
You're going to be the one changing those bad boys. All dumped in, loaded up.
Well, at least if it's solid,
they got the Velcro straps on the side.
That's awesome.
You'll peel the Velcro and that thing will hit the floor like. Woof.
We are so gross.
Oh, so nasty.
Wash
your hands, people. Damn it.
Seriously, what I can think about with tattoos too, that the irony, the fucking irony of the fact that our show is on a network that has Tattoo Nightmares and Ink Master.
Right.
And I had gotten my lower arm tattoo, the flowers.
Oh, I remember, when we first started filming Contractor.
Right before we filmed the pilot was when I got the lower right arm tattoo. And right away, that was like, oh, nope. No short sleeve, because I have the band on my upper left arm. So they were like,
if anyone has seen pictures of you, you put some on the internet sometimes, but like you're completely, like your whole back from neck to crack is completely full color, like a full color Japanese, like crazy piece, and you have a lot of ink on you, both arms.
So we get on
other places.
We get on this network where it's major tattoo programs, and then they tell me that they don't want me to wear a short sleeve shirt because they don't want my tattoos to show on the Tattoo Network. Okay, so and in addition to that, them wanting to cut my hair short, to which we said no.
I was like, oh hell no.
Yeah, because they wanted me to look more, air quotes, professional, air quote, because if I had tattoos, I couldn't possibly get the job done effectively.
No.
I don't even know how I'm even given a gun in New York State.
I don't really care what they want you to look like. We're not. There's no acting.
Because it's reality, and this is really me.
Scripted show. So guess what? This is how I look.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you look. You know, I'm not putting on a wig, and you're not cutting your hair.
It's been really, literally, as far as the wardrobe goes for this show, 3 seasons of torture. No, seriously, torture. It's been like such a mind fuck because I've just felt very discriminated against as far as being judged on what my body looks like because they don't want me to show any tattoos, and God forbid I wear a shirt that shows that I have breasts. They want me to look like
breasts?
They want me to wear a muumuu. They want me to wear a muumuu. So,
Hi.
yeah. So, but I pulled a fast one as far as the muumuus go because, like, we would do those. We would get our clothing before the season started, and we started. I started picking out our clothes right from the beginning because the season 1 pilot. Was it the pilot they had, or it was right before we started filming episode 2 when they ordered a full season? They had a wardrobe person. She was a very lovely person, and she did a very good job of her job. However, I just feel like if I'm perfectly capable of buying our own clothes, and it's much quicker and efficient for me to shop for our own
let's
clothes.
Let's clarify for the lay people out there, which we were when we came into starting production on this show some years back. As far as the wardrobe goes, you and I both done on-camera stuff, and I've done commercials and all kinds of other things. And wardrobe is always a factor in these things, and very much so, especially when you're filming a TV show, because the continuity is very important. They need to be able to catalog your clothes because, when you're doing filming on different days, you need to be able to, have certain things that look right on camera
Or sometimes there's even times when they're they didn't catch you saying something. I tend to talk fast. If they didn't understand a word I said, they'll actually have to have me get back in that shirt and say that sentence again so it will fit in to where it's supposed to be.
There
because
has been times when
it wasn't good the first time.
We've gotten called to when in the editing process, because we film, all live and there's no scripts on our show. So when they're editing, the somewhat 100 hours of film to put together the 40-minute plus TV time 1-hour show that you actually see, there's a tremendous amount of cutting and editing out of that stuff. Like what's the stuff we keep and what we don't keep, So it's funny because sometimes there'll be a time to when maybe it could be anything as simple as a plane going overhead or someone walking across the street behind you as we're shooting a scene or whatever. And because there's no script, we may have to go back and they will tell us what we said on that day. We might have to go back a day or two later because they found it in editing. Oh man, something happened with the audio or whatever. And do you remember what you said? Because here's what you said, and you're going to have to repeat that.
Right.
So and then of course we have to put on the same shirt, and and that's all just part of that's TV production. And these are things that you kind of learn as you go along with it. But with the wardrobe person, I mean, we can obviously pick out our own clothes, but there are certain things.
I think I know what looks best on me.
That we found out there's colors that don't work well on HD. There's colors that.
Well, they don't want you to also they don't want you wearing plaid when Adam wears plaid.
Right.
They want one and not plaid, and and they also didn't want me to wear a color that clashed with what you guys were wearing. It kind of had to be go flow together. So there's a whole thing as far as them choosing what you wear, as colors or whatever, and they have a certain image that they want you to portray.
Adam, they didn't care about as much. It was only because we were
with
standing
me. They
next
tortured. They tortured me.
It's only because we're standing next to each other all the time. We're in every scene together.
It's been torture.
It doesn't look good if one person's wearing something that clashes with the other, or both wearing a plaid, like you said, or whatever. So, yeah, all those things became kind of apparent to us as we went along, and we kind of learned with that process. But with you. And it's funny because with me, the more of my tattoos that show, the
you
better.
got that big pride tattoo literally 2 days before we filmed the pilot because you wanted to make sure that you were because they liked the tattoos and they were encouraging you to be more rough and because you were going to be confronting somebody. So they were they loved the tattoos.
Well, I have lots of tattoos, and some of which you can see, and some you can't. So I was hesitant. I was ready to get some more, and I was hesitant to get anything below my shirt line because it might show up. So, as it turned out, they didn't mind with me.
Well, the more they encouraged, the more that they said that they liked it on you, it was hey, I got this blank spot, and I was planning on getting this anyway, so let me get it now so it'll be on TV before we film. But with me,
just the opposite.
It was just the opposite, yeah. So I got this tattoo right before we started filming the pilot, and next thing you know, it's I can only wear 3/4 length shirts. So from that point forward, I was never allowed to wear a short sleeve shirt, regardless of it being 110 degrees sometimes, because God forbid somebody saw my tattoos, they might think that I might not be able to find somebody.
Well, you would listen. There's no way you could be an effective private investigator with tattoos below your shirt.
Oh my God, do you remember the day when I couldn't find somebody because I was wearing a skirt? Oh, you know why you don't remember that day? Because it didn't happen.
That was a bad day.
Yeah, because I wore a fucking skirt and I didn't hear the fucking end of it for like days. Like, you can't get out of the truck in a skirt. Like, I was wearing it was like a short, like corduroy skirt. I had a corduroy one and then I had like a camouflage one.
It was like camo.
And I was wearing like sneakers with it. Like
Everybody
really?
lost their shit.
Also, my brain doesn't function because I'm wearing short sleeves or a skirt. And they don't want my tattoos showing, and it's just it's very frustrating. It's a mind fuck. It really fucked with me mentally. So from now on though, because I had to really, I think I needed therapy over it. But from now on, that's not going to happen anymore. No. I'm taking a stand.
Yeah, take a stand.
I am taking a stand.
Just buy whatever clothes you want.
I am, because you know what? I haven't finished it. My point also is this fucking arm, my right arm, I haven't finished my full sleeve because of dealing with this bullshit with not wearing a short sleeve shirt.
Right.
So meanwhile I've got one up on my upper shoulder and then one on my lower right arm, and it's nothing in between, and it looks ridiculous.
Such problems.
I know. Is anybody out there who gives good tattoos and wants to donate one to me? Because all of our money's going into our kitchen renovation right now.
Oh, good Lord. You better
need
believe
a free tattoo.
Holy crap, man. But wait till you guys see this kitchen. It's going to be kick-ass. We're doing some really cool stuff in here. So I know we talk about it a lot, but it's a major thing happening in our lives right now. It's going to be some very cool shit that you've never seen before, a lot of which I'm fabricating myself. And I might just, after this whole production, I might just get into making my own line of a lot of different things because I'm experimenting with some cool stuff. So
I was gonna, you know what? Maybe on the next episode we'll get more into it because this is Tip Tuesday, where Skip gives.
Tip Tuesday.
Skip's gonna give some extra tips today.
All right.
And we'll get into other things at the end of this episode. But you know what? I wanted to talk more about set life, like what it's like when being on the set and being people next door, and then all of a sudden what it's like to be on a show set and the things that we experience for the first time being newbies. Yeah, I think that's stuff that people always ask about.
We
They
can talk about that stuff forever.
Yeah, so we'll get into that on the next one. But in the meanwhile, it's
Tip Tuesday. When helping people with their homes, they call Skip Bedell.
You want to avoid a headache and save money? He's the man to talk to. Skip Bedell.
And we have lots of questions.
Wow, that was really loud. I think you blew everybody's eardrums out on that.
Sorry about that. I was trying to, in my mind, there was a big echo going, Tip Tuesday, Tuesday, Tuesday. I don't know.
Okay.
It was very dramatic.
There you go with your announcer voice again.
So we did.
And in this corner.
Yeah.
This big fat tattoo chick.
Yeah, that's me. Okay, so there was a lot of questions that people had asked on the last episode that we did not get to because we were talking about other things. So we're going to get to those today because it's
Tip Tuesday.
It's Tip Tuesday.
Okay.
Where I can promise you guys I will not give you the shaft. You're going to get the straight answers and just the tip.
All right.
There you go.
All right. We're looking for a tip here.
You won't get the shaft, just the tip.
Just a tip.
There you go.
Okay.
Save it for the contractors on Catch a Contractor to give you the shaft.
Right.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see what we come up with next.
Oh, my God. Wait till you guys see what we're coming up with next.
Okay. So this guy didn't give his name. He was on Twitter. D-Train on 96.1 K-Rock.
What's happening?
Looks like he works for a radio station.
D-Train.
D-Train. Well, what's up?
Tip.
He says that his effing Bengal cat, and by the way, he wrote the word effing.
Effing?
Yeah.
He didn't use the full word?
No. His fucking Bengal cat tore all the weather stripping out of his exterior door jams.
Oh, that's
How can he
always
replace?
fun.
He actually included a video on Twitter of his cat doing the cat claw scratch thing onto his weather
Yeah.
stripping.
Well, I can tell you how to replace the weather stripping, but I can't tell you how to replace the cat.
Oh
so.
no! Those are the small sacrifices that you have to put up with in order to get the love and affection and happiness you get from your pets.
Yeah, I'm going to think you're going to have to start keeping your door closed so they can't get to the weather stripping. But you can go to any of your, hardware store, big box like Depot, Lowe's, any of those home centers, and they have a millwork or hardware aisle that will have door repair items in it. Things that you can use to repair the lock set on your door and the strike plates and the hinges and all the different hardware for a door. Along with that, you will find different types of weather strippings and door sweeps and everything that you can imagine to put on your door. So what you need to do is you need to get the weather stripping off of your door first, because there's a number of different types. They use like a tension sleeve. It's kind of like a grooved piece of plastic that goes into a channel, and if you pull it out, you'll see it has like little tension, almost like teeth, it looks like, on it. So they'll fit into a slot and it'll keep the weather strip in place. Now that's on the bottom of the door. Along the sides of the door, they usually are seated into a channel as well. So what you can do is remove that weather stripping from your door. Now, if you can remove it, some of them are kind of permanently like mold into the door during the manufacturing process, and it could be a little more difficult to change it. So you might actually have to cut the weather stripping off, like with a utility knife, and then change the type of stripping that you have on there. Now, the nice part about that is if you can't find the same type that you have, and most likely you will be able to because there's a million different kinds in that aisle, you just have to look and find the right one. But if not, they always have weather stripping that you can peel the back off, like with a self-stick tape on the back of it, and all around the sides of your door, the three sides, the top and the two legs, you can put back weather stripping, stick it right on, cut it to size and stick it right to the inside of the door, where the door comes up against the frame. It's actually the stop. So right on the edge of that stop, you can stick it. And there's different types that you'll find, depending upon the space that you have in your door, and a lot of them seat differently. Again, this is why it's really important that you remove what you have and try to match it up closely, not only in the thickness, but the type of weather stripping. And also the sweep on the bottom of the door, that's something that cats and dogs like to claw at because they see sometimes the light underneath it, which, by the way, you shouldn't see any light underneath your door. If you can see light, that means that you're losing air, you're losing heat, you're losing air conditioning. But that's also a big trouble area for pets. So that piece also, you can remove that. Sometimes you'll have to pop the hinges off the door and get the door actually off so you can pull it down out of the door seat. That piece, if you cannot find the replacement, and that's a very common piece, you should be able to find a replacement for that stock. If it's an exterior door, like a front door, usually it's a 36-inch wide piece. If you can't find a matching replacement for that, they'll have a channel type that slides up on the bottom of the door. It's like a 3-sided weather strip that actually just seats up on the bottom of the door, and it'll have a couple of set screws that hold it in place. Either way, you're going to find what you need to replace that stuff, so you just got to do a little research and check it out.
Super. Somebody, again, no name. You guys are missing out on your 1 minute of fame. 1 Minute Disney Dreams on Twitter said, I'd like to make a custom bed for my daughter's room. She's going to be 3. What's the best wood that is not too expensive to use?
All right. Well, some of the cheaper softwoods like pine and poplar, they're good to build with. They're good structural woods. They're a little bit softer, so you may want to go with a thicker dimensional lumber as opposed to using like, a 1/2 inch or 3/4. You might want to go with like a 5/4 lumber or thicker, maybe even a 2x. And as far as wood go, compared to, let's say, like an oak or a mahogany, they're definitely going to be cheaper. They're easier to work with. They're easier to cut, some of the softwoods. And I would say that you're probably going to want many of the like bunk beds and things like that. They're usually made out of pine. Poplar is also a nice wood that you can find.
Poplar is also poplar.
It's very popular. It's a little bit better grade of wood. It's something that we'll make like wall units and shelving, cabinetry and things like that out of. It's usually in your home centers or lumber store right next to the pine. And you'll be able to tell because it doesn't have quite as many knots as the pine does. Look for poplar or pine, and that's probably your best value to do that type of work.
Okay, thank you. Jim Tharp. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah, Jim's been a long-time fan since season 1. He's been writing to us.
Yeah, he's always writing to us.
Yeah, he's
What's
awesome.
going on there, Jim?
He said, actually, I have one for Skip. The vent pipes on my roof are leaking when it rains. I used Henry's wet patch last year, and it's already cracking and leaking again.
All right, Henry's, by the way, or any one of those flashing cements that you can get, like Blackjack and any of the flashing cements, Atlas, there's different products out there. They're good for like a Band-Aid. What happens with them, most of them are tar-based, and they will heat up a lot in the hot seasons in the summer, and the sun will make them real soft. And then when it cools off, even at night, or of course there's a drastic temperature swing like in the winter, depending upon where you live, they'll get very hard and brittle. And from the expansion and contraction, they will go from like that gooey state to hard and brittle, and eventually they'll crack and you'll have leaks. So it's really more of a Band-Aid for that type of situation. If your vent pipes are leaking, there's a boot around each pipe. There's going to be a metal flashing flange that goes underneath your shingles, and the part that rides on the actual pipe, whether it's cast iron or whether it's PVC, copper, whatever you have coming through the roof to vent, usually for your plumbing system, they're going to have a rubber boot that actually touches the pipe itself. That's the part that tends to go bad, and the water will go down the side of the pipe and get past that rubber boot. Just because the rubber gets dried out and it gets cracked, and just like anything else, it gets brittle.
And then the girl gets pregnant.
Yeah. When the rubber gets dried out and cracked, it's time to change it. You only want to use those things once, by the way. I found that if you try to reuse them, it's usually a problem.
Yeah.
You have to get them off and put them back on. Always sucks.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're going to want to change out those vent pipe boots. Okay, you can get them at the hardware store, the building supply, lumber yard. They all have them. Anywhere they sell roofing materials, they will send those boots. It's going to take a little bit of work to reshingle around the edge of that thing, but that's really going to be the best way for you to stop your problem. Anything else is just going to be a temporary fix.
Okay. Derek Berlinski was asking a question about kitchen countertops, the ones that you buy in the store.
Yeah.
And originally he was asking about how hard is it to make a hole to drop a sink into, and then he did a little research online, and he saw that how to make the hole. But then he was asking, do you have any tips for installing these pre-laminated countertops?
Yeah. Yes, you're definitely going to want to have the right tools to do that. You're going to want to have a good finish blade on your circular saw to make your cuts. And when I say a finish blade, when you go into the tool portion of the hardware store, you're going to ask the person that works there, what is the right blade to cut laminates with? Because there's only one blade. It has more teeth on it than any other blade you're going to see. It looks very different than the other blades. The teeth are very small and they're very, very close together. And that's going to allow you to make a cut on the laminate without chipping it. All the other blades that are used for cross-cutting or for rough-cutting lumber or ripping, they will all splinter and chip the laminate. Another thing that you want to do also when you're making cuts, and I suggest this to people when they do cuts on doors like a Luan door or even a hollow core door. I mentioned this to an earlier tip, I think a couple of weeks ago. You want to put tape on the surface that you're going to be cutting first, and then mark your line on the tape, not on the laminate. And you're going to cut the tape, not on the laminate itself. The tape will also help hold the material together. So as the blade turns, the front part of that blade is going to be going down, but the other part of the blade coming up to return through that cut is coming up. And it's going to want to chip that laminate right off its base. Usually it's on particle board or whatever they make it on these days. Usually it's particle board. So between the finished blade and using the masking tape for all your cuts, you'll have a much better, cleaner cut. You want to also make sure you have a fine-tooth file, because on those cuts, especially on the edges, you're going to need to file off the laminate. And they'll usually where you buy the countertops, they have an edge like a side kit. So where you make your cuts and the exposed end of the countertop, you're going to see now the raw material. There's going to be the raw particle board and the cut end, no longer a factory cut on the laminate. You're going to need to put a finished strip of laminate on that edge part of the countertop. So they sell that right there. Usually it has a return that comes up the backsplash side as well. But you need to glue that on there, clamp it, and then file it all together with a file. So that's something else. If you've done any research and you go online, you can see videos on exactly how to do that. They'll show you how to glue and clamp and then file all your edges. Because when you cut those and you make those corners, the laminate is very sharp. So that's important that you file it down. The other thing is corners are probably the hardest part to do on the countertops. My suggestion to you would be to get the corner ends. So they make these countertops that actually come with 45-degree cuts on them. So figure out which side your corner is going to be. And that's important because they have a left and right hand corner cut. depending upon where the backsplash is, right? So either it's going to be the left corner or the right corner standing in the front of the countertop. They will come with the 45 degrees. So if you're making a corner, you're going to have one left and one right corner, right? Now you're going to have a perfect factory cut 45-degree cut that's going to make a 90-degree corner for you perfectly. And underneath the bottom side of them, they have a channel, usually 3 or 4 different channels on the bottom side of that countertop, which receives a metal hardware. And the hardware they sell right there with as well. And what this basically is, it's just a set of bolts that go underneath the bottom, and you tighten up those bolts, and it'll draw the corners together tightly, so you're not going to have an open joint in that corner cut. Uh-huh. Yep, that's what you want to do.
Thank you. I almost fell asleep there.
Hey, listen, try doing a laminate countertop, and you're going to wish you had that tip.
Okay.
All right. Now, I know you wish you had the tip anyway, and shortly after this podcast is over, you will be receiving it. I mean, tip on laminate countertops.
Right.
Yeah. I'll give you the extended tip.
I'm so lucky to have you.
I'm going to give you the extended version of my tip.
That's awesome. Okay, we got a question through our website from Peter Everts. He said, Skip, I love the podcast. Thanks for restoring my faith in good contractors.
Thanks, Pete.
I have hairline cracks in my drywall and my bathroom along the tape seams. Can I Dremel these out and fill with some paintable caulk? I do not want to mud and retape the walls. What can I do?
You can. I don't know that the Dremel necessarily is the way to go. Usually in those situations, if you use a real sharp, like a brand new drywall blade, on your utility knife, I would cut that out, cut out the crack section, and be real careful and take your time with that because you don't want to fray the paper. It's going to be that much harder to get a good finish on it. And yes, you can use a good quality latex paintable caulk. Make sure it's paintable because not all caulks are. And caulk that thing up. Get a couple of coats on it. The first one that you put in will probably shrink and suck into the cut, and you'll want to go back after it dries well and lay on another one at least. And also make sure you get that smooth. Follow it with a wet rag, let it dry, and then paint it. And the nice thing about paintable caulk is even if you paint it and you find it still isn't looking right, you can actually go over the paint with another coat of caulk. So, this is all assuming that you don't want to do spackle work. Otherwise, I would just tell you to re-spackle the corner. But also the other side of this whole situation is that there's a reason why it's cracking. So you may want to look into that. Whatever's causing your house or that part of the room to settle or move. The caulk will be more flexible than the spackle and the tape, so you might get some better mileage out of the caulk, but there's a reason why it's cracking, so look into that. There you go.
All right. I know that there was a question about paint, and I can't...
Oh, could I just say one more thing on that real quickly before I forget? Especially if you have vaulted ceilings, high ceilings, many times, the insulation up in those ceilings, if they're not insulated well, and that if let's say it's a second story, or if you have a ranch, so it's real close to the roof, it gets very hot, and sometimes you'll get what they call shearing on those tape lines where the ceiling actually meets the wall. That corner in particular will actually shear. They want to pull apart. So, as I said to you before, investigate what the reason is. You may have an insulation or you may have a structural issue there that's causing that to happen, and that's going to be something that will continue to happen.
Okay. Oh, here, I found the paint question. It's from on Twitter from Kenneth Fulcher. He said that he removed an extra towel rack in his apartment's bathroom. He mudded and taped the damage left from it. What's the best way to match his paint without having any paint chips and not making it look like he did it? He doesn't want his landlord to know what he did.
Oh, okay. What's the best way to match the paint? Is that what he's asking me?
Yeah.
All right. Well, if he doesn't have the existing paint, I'm assuming, right? He doesn't have a can of it around.
Right.
Okay.
Without having any paint chips.
Yeah. Okay. Any paint chips. So there are some apps that you can actually take pictures of paint and take the picture of that to your paint store, and they can match it pretty close. The best way that you can match paint is actually get a sample of the paint, and that might require you in an inconspicuous place removing a small portion of that paint.
Yeah.
Perhaps you got to get like a scraper or whatever it is in some place, because you're going to go back and match the paint and get more paint anyway, right? So you can repaint that area. Yeah. But if you really want to match it, that's going to be your best bet, because sometimes it's a custom color, sometimes it's a blend of different things. And it might not even be a paint that's in production anymore, so they can do that computer match. But you need to actually bring them a piece of that paint. So,
Word.
Yeah. And in fact, I have a bunch of tips today that are about paint because we're coming into the springtime and a lot of people are doing, kind of like a facelift and makeover, and what can they do with some of that income tax money that they're getting back, right? And so, we want to make our place look great. And painting is something that people can do for not a lot of money and really make a big change in their house. So I'm going to talk about some of that stuff today as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I have some great painting tips.
All right, so then try not to get long-winded on the rest of these questions.
Oh, I'm going to get long-winded. Yeah.
Okay.
And you're going to like it.
Okay. Mandy McMillan on Facebook said she needs to replace her kitchen floor. Current floor is the hideous sheet linoleum that is probably original to the house since it was built in 1990. They're thinking of doing stained concrete. What are your thoughts? They have kids and dogs, and so they need something durable. They plan on hiring someone to do the work. What kinds of questions would they need to ask them?
Okay, so if you're even suggesting that you're going to consider stained concrete, I'm assuming that you must have a slab floor. And that sounds like a ridiculous thing to say, but you'd be surprised at some of the questions I get. People want to do a concrete floor and they have a raised foundation or they have, a wood, subfloor, and they want, all of a sudden they get...
So in other words, like our kitchen cannot...
They see on Pinterest, they have concrete floors and, yeah. So I'm hoping that you have a slab there to work with. Okay, so assuming that's the case, you have linoleum over it, sheet glued down, it probably looks like hell and it's all worn out and everything else. You're going to need to get that off of there, and that's going to be a bit of a job in itself. So, I would suggest calling in a flooring company or a couple and get some competitive prices, estimates, and always follow the same rules that I suggest for everyone. Make sure you're only talking to licensed people. Make sure they have plenty of referrals. Check out their reviews, all that stuff before you even let them in the house, and then pick out 2 or 3 competitive bids that, and cancel out the ones that are coming in like 50 or 60% than everyone else because there's a reason why they're cheaper than everyone else. Okay, so that being said, now comparing the vinyl to finished concrete. If you want to do concrete floors, and again, assuming that you have the slab there, you're going to need to do a lot of preparation on that. So that's where these companies come in and they do just concrete floors. They come in with floor grinders that basically grind down the concrete to a fresh, clean surface. It's a dusty job.
She didn't ask how they do it. She said, "What's your thoughts on doing it?" I'm
going to give you my thoughts. I'm going to give you all the things.
You give me too many thoughts.
All the things you need to consider because this is once you get into that part of it, it becomes a little bit more of an expensive job because it's a specialized type of thing. You're not just having anyone come in and do that. Oh. You need to get a company that specializes in doing concrete floors. They will come in and grind down your floor, and then they'll give you choices of different finishes you can do on it, some of which are staining, which is she's considering. Okay. Now, staining is beautiful on concrete. There's endless possibilities of what you can do with it. You can make it look like a marble floor if you want to, and it's really beautiful. If you go on Pinterest or wherever, you can find a million pictures of it, but it does get a little pricey. Yes, they're super durable because they stain the concrete and then they put a finish over the top of that, which is concrete is obviously very durable, so it holds up well to everything. But it's certainly going to be more pricey than you looking into redoing a vinyl floor. So I would get estimates on both and then really base it on your budget. You can get some really nice vinyl finishings for your floor that are solid sheet. They don't have seams in it that hold up well to pets and moisture and things like that. Easy to clean. But if you're looking for that look of like a refined, polished concrete floor, you're not going to find that in any kind of vinyl. So I think it's going to come down to really what you want and how much you can afford. They're both very durable, but that's what it's going to boil down to.
She doesn't want to get more vinyl.
No, she said she's considering doing a concrete floor or... What's the other part of it?
No, she didn't say. She didn't say she was considering vinyl. She said they're thinking of doing stained concrete. What's your thoughts on that? And then she said that they need something durable because they have kids and dogs.
Okay. So, all right. Well, the concrete is super durable. It is a great option. It's a question of what you can afford.
What else is durable?
Over that slab, you can put tile over the slab. Regular porcelain tile, which I would suggest over ceramic, is a lot more durable. And then they also make wood that you can do wood over that like pre-finished wood that actually hold up really well to traffic. It will not hold up as well to animals and moisture. Right. They do make some of them that are pre-finished that hold up really well to high traffic. But as far as like pet stains and things like that,
and the nails. The mark.
Yeah,
some woods are very soft.
Yeah, they've come. Yeah, but you're not doing a soft wood on a floor. It's always going to be
Mom's. Remember when you did Mom's floor and that beautiful, beautiful floor, but it was a soft wood. And every time she
farted,
something would scratch her floor.
It was a
and
hardwood.
She was losing it.
It was a bird's eye maple. But yes, that particular floor, because of the finish on it, it came pre-finished and it had a clear coat on it that was very easily scratched.
Right.
And it wound up being a nightmare when she had someone come in and change her refrigerator. The appliance company, after I just got done laying the whole place brand new, beautiful maple flooring, like a week later she gets a new refrigerator and the guy rolls in the new refrigerator and just trashed the entire floor. She flipped out.
Lost her mind.
Yeah, so if you guys are considering the concrete, all I can tell you is get a couple of estimates and compare prices and ask them what is going to be the best finish for that floor for your needs, your particular situation.
Yeah, and do yourself a favor, go onto our website and look at the tips that Skip gives about finding a contractor, because there's a lot of things that you need to remember to ask them. Because if you recall, episode 1, season 2, Gilbert said that he was an expert on concrete floors. And if you want to revisit that episode...
That's a great episode for you to watch. If you go onto Spike.com or if you have our episodes on iTunes or on Amazon, go back to season 2 of Catch a Contractor, episode 1, and there was an episode on just that. Someone who had a guy come in and do stained concrete floors in their house. And check that out and see how that went. Not too good. That's a perfect example of what not to do.
Right, exactly. So check that out.
Yeah.
Steve Carroll said, why is the fan in his bathroom dripping water? It's been doing it a while now, but it's dripping from the fan on the ceiling.
Okay, there's a couple of different reasons why the exhaust fan or the fart fan, otherwise known, we like to refer to it affectionately, in your bathroom will be dripping water, all of which are not good, by the way. Okay. Assuming that your roof is not leaking, that's one of the things that could be doing it. And many times, because there's going to be a hose that comes out of that fan and will go up into a vent pipe, typically that goes through the roof, or it goes out into your soffit. But many times it goes up through the roof, and there's a little exhaust hood on the roof. If you go outside your house and you look up on the roof over the bathroom, and get a mental picture of approximately where that fan is, look above that and see if you see like a little box type of hood on your roof. That's going to be your exhaust fan hood. Now, sometimes those flanges, they leak, and the water will actually ride the pipe. It'll ride down that ductwork. Usually it's a flexible ductwork, and it'll come right back to where the fan is, and it'll just get around the housing, and it'll start to seep around the housing, and usually it gets the drywall all wet around the fan. That's very indicative of a leaky roof or a roof problem around that flashing. So that might be the first thing you look for. If that's not the case, then another thing that people have problems with those fans is that they have the wrong type of duct pipe, the actual piping that exhausts out through the roof. If it's not an insulated pipe, like you've seen on the back of your dryer, there's like a metal flexible tube. Sometimes contractors will use that. It's a cheap alternative to vent an exhaust fan from a bathroom out through the roof or through the soffit. The problem with that is that it's not insulated. So what happens is that when you take a shower, the whole purpose is to exhaust the hot, moist air, right, out of the room. You want to get the moisture and humidity out of the room. But when it goes through that pipe, it creates moisture in the inside of the pipe. Now, up in your attic, typically it's very hot or very, very cold in the wintertime. So if that pipe isn't insulated, what's going to happen, especially in the cooler months, it's going to create condensation inside the pipe, which will inevitably drip back down into the fan and will leak around your drywall. So it's going to be one of those two things. You're going to have to do a little research, maybe get up in your attic and see what's going on and look at the underside of the sheathing, the plywood on your roof, and see if you can see any water staining around the penetration that the hose goes through the roof. If there's water staining on the sheathing, that's a good indication that the roof is leaking. If there's no staining on that and you notice the pipe is not an insulated pipe that's wrapped with like black plastic and fiberglass wrapping or some sort of insulation around it, then more than likely you need to change out the pipe to the fan.
And a good thing about that drip is actually if there's a zombie apocalypse and we don't have any more running water, he could stand underneath it with his mouth open.
Yeah, there you go. See?
Okay.
You really want to drink water from the fart fan?
Well, I mean, desperate times
I guess
call
you do
for
what you
desperate
got to
measures.
do, right? Yeah. You're dipping your coffee cup in the toilet if you have to.
Yep. Jacob Giles said, what is Skip's opinion on water-based lacquer, considering using it to refinish my wood floors?
Okay. If we're talking about water-based urethane, which I assume we are, urethane being the clear coat finish that goes over the top of hardwood floors, a water base is a really great alternative to oil base. It's a little more expensive to apply and a little more expensive for the material, But there are pros and cons to both. Okay, first, the good parts about water-based urethane is that it dries very fast. So typically you can do more than one coat in one day. If the floor is sanded, you put down your sealer and you do your first coat of water-based urethane. By the end of the day, typically you can scuff that floor or screen it, they call it, rough it up a little bit again, and you can apply a second coat of the water-based and then come back and do your third coat the following day. With the oil base, it's going to be a little less expensive to apply and the material's a little less, but it takes like at least 24 to 48 hours to dry between coats. And if you're doing 3 coats, that means that your floor refinishing job now is turning into a 4 or 5 day job.
That blows.
Yes, which means all your furniture is off the floor. You're not in the house because, by the way, the oil base, the VOCs are very high in that. Now, they do make a low VOC version of that, but what I'm talking about is all the fumes that are in that. The odor is bad. Everything is more intense with the oil base. Now, the upside to that is that you get a very high shine on the oil base, which is some people like it. It's a hard coat, and they get a high shine on it. But they do also have high gloss water-based products now. I am partial to the water base. I do a lot of work with hardwood flooring guys, and in fact, I just did a big job. We did the whole house on hardwood floors, and I always opt for the water base because we can get it done faster. It's a little more money, but it gives you also a very durable surface, and I think all in all, the water base is a better solution. There you go.
Okay.
That would be my choice. If I had to choose between the oil and the water, and I have many times, I'd choose the water base.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Well, there you go.
Well, take that. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
All right.
You want to talk about some of my paint tips?
I do.
All right. So, being that it's springtime, people are getting their tax refund checks back. Everyone's like, well, what can we do in our house to, give it a quick makeover and a little more curb appeal, whether it's on the outside or the inside. They're looking to make some changes and what's going to work with their budget. So, painting is a great thing to do.
Do your neighbors a favor and do it on the outside.
Yeah. Do everybody a favor. Paint the outside of your house.
Yeah.
All right. There's a lot to know about painting and to get good results and reasons why people pay a lot of money to have professional painters come in and work in their house. Not everybody can afford to do that because painters are expensive. You can paint in your own house, and there's a couple of things that you should know about to do that, to get really good results. First of all, people go out and they want to pick their own colors and they want to, come home with paint chips and swatches and things like that and hold it up on the wall and I never suggest that, like a color wheel and that type of thing or paint samples. I always tell people to actually get a sample container of the paint from the manufacturer.
Yeah, the little. They sell them in like little sample sizes now too.
Yeah, they sell them, and you got to spend a little money on it, and you're going to come home with a half a dozen different colors that you think you might like, and you're only going to pick one, so you're going to spend a little money on it. Usually they range between $3 and $8, like $10 tops. But usually like $3 to $8 is a normal price for them. And they'll give you like a little container that you can paint like maybe like a 2x2 square area, right, of this paint color. Now, here's the trick with this. Don't paint it just on the wall that you want to paint it on. It seemed like, okay, it's going to probably be the best way to do is to paint it right on the wall where I want to paint it, right? My suggestion is to get a piece of white oak tag. It's like a stiff construction paper type of, it usually comes like a 3x3 board. You could buy it in your art supply like Michael's or wherever. Yeah. Get a couple of those, cut them in half or in quarters, and paint a big swatch on the white oak tag paper. Here's why. You can take that paper and you can move it around to different sides of the room. Paint is dramatically changed in appearance by different lighting conditions. So depending upon if you go near a window or near a different light fixture, different light sources will change the appearance of paint dramatically. So you can now take this paint sample and move it around the room because on one side of the room you might not like it as much as you do on the other side. You can't do that if you just paint it on the wall with your sample. So check that out. That's a really good little tip and it's helpful. You'll find the color that you want that way a lot easier. You can walk around to your furniture now and hold it up to your furniture or take that big paint swatch instead of having like a little 1-inch by 1-inch paint chip, right, that you come home with. You now have like a 1 foot by 1 foot or 2, whatever size you want to make. Use the whole damn piece of oak tag, whatever. Walk it around the whole house. Hold it up against your area rug. Hold it up against your butt, whatever you want to do. All right, so paint samples on the oak tag is a great thing to do. Also, you guys might want to consider the paint families that paint companies have already come up with. They spend tremendous amounts of money and years of research to develop combinations of colors.
They did that in our house before we moved in. The previous homeowners, they used the colors that were on the same paint swatch
Yeah.
for the bathroom, the bedroom, and the office. So they were all related and they look
Yeah.
amazing together.
Painting can be very challenging. Like, there's so many colors and it can get overwhelming, right? I know it happens to me too. I have a hard time choosing colors sometimes. It makes it really easy when you find a family of paints. Many paint manufacturers will group together paint colors that you might not even think of putting together. But they work well. They work well for a lot of different reasons. So you might want to consider looking at some of those already pre-established families of paints that will have multiple shades to offer, and they all work well together. So that's something that that really will help you out. And if you go onto some websites like I think it's Houzz.com, Houzz, or Pinterest, also is another great place that you can see all different combinations of paint colors and how they work with the furniture and accessories, and you'll get some great ideas. I love going on those sites because you get some really good ideas. All right. So another great way that you can pick some colors to work with inside your house is to work off of some of the permanent colors that you already have around your house. So if you have a really colorful landscape, if you have things on the exterior of your house that are like permanent colors, let's say like your siding or your roofing or the gutters or fascia boards, or if you have brick or stone on the outside of your house, it's going to set a tone. You may want to carry that and help that, use that to help you pick some of the colors inside. So do you have warm tones on the inside of your house? That theme might want to continue, from outside to inside. Right. If you have really colorful landscape, you might want to work with some colorful things, depending upon where you live and the whole appearance that you want your house to have. All right. Other things that will make this whole job easier for you is to use lighter colors on the ceiling. Now, typically you think of ceilings being white. A lot of people will paint a ceiling white, which is basically like a flat, true white.
I love a colored ceiling.
Yeah, I particularly like colored ceilings also. A great way to do that is you can, again, use the paint family colors. Whatever color you put on the wall, many times you can get a paint card that'll offer 4 or 5 different shades of that same color. So usually you're going to want to go at least 1 to 3 shades lighter on the ceiling than you would on the walls. Right. Especially if you go in darker colors, you can even do more shades than that. Another trick that professional painters will use is they'll take a wall color, and if the homeowner wants to have a color in that family on their ceiling but not go with white, they'll actually dilute the wall color, 50 parts wall color, 50 parts true white paint. And they actually mix it down with white paint, and you'll get that color but a lighter version of it.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's a great way to get a ceiling color. Choose the right sheen. A lot of people ask me, well, how do I know what finish to use on my paint?
Shiny shows everything, right? All your
imperfections. So there's a reason why they have different finishes on paints, and it can tend to be a little bit confusing sometimes. So most painting manufacturers will offer a flat and an eggshell, a satin, a semi-gloss, and a gloss are the traditional options that you have. Now, the flat and the eggshell are basically better at hiding imperfections on your wall. So if you have, let's say, old walls that are kind of banged up.
But nowadays, if you go into a fancy boutique shop, the shiny is called Fancy Bitch, and the matte is called Plain Jane.
Oh, is that what it is?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a new option now,
yes,
Fancy Bitch?
Yes.
Oh, that's what you are.
Yeah.
You're my Fancy Bitch.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, thanks for that. So flat and eggshell, which is also a version of flat, but it has just a slight sheen to it, those are both great for hiding imperfections on your wall. So if you have walls that have been painted a number of times, they've had some damage done to them that you spackled up and you patched, and they're not fresh sheetrock, they're not new drywall walls, and you may want to consider going with some of the lower sheen paints, because the higher sheens like satin, semi-gloss, and gloss definitely will show imperfections much more, especially on darker colors even. So definitely for like low traffic areas like the family room or dining room, even bedrooms, the flatter paints can be better. When you're working in high traffic areas like bathrooms and kitchens, the other paints that have a more of a sheen to it, like the satin and the semi-gloss and the gloss, they work well in high traffic. They also are much more resistant to moisture and grease. So they're perfect for, cooking situations and bathrooms. So if that, helps you choose that finish. Now, the flats, they're not quite as durable as a semi-gloss. So what you can do, if you like the look of a flat paint, you don't like that sheen to it, what some painters will do, the pros actually, they'll mix 50-50 with flat paint with eggshell. And what that does, it still gives you that low sheen, a flat appearance. It doesn't have any sheen to it. But the eggshell ingredients added to the flat paint will make it a little more durable.
Oh.
Yeah, it'll make it stand up a little bit better to damages and things like that. So if you got kids running around the house and you don't want to paint your walls glossy, which, by the way, on an older house with banged up walls, glossy paint is a nightmare. You see every single imperfection. But that's a good way. Painters will tell you that's one of the tricks that they do. But that's something you can do as a homeowner. You can get a gallon of each, mix them together. You're still going to get the flat appearance, so it's going to be a little more durable with the eggshell mixed in. All right, prep is everything when you're painting. So if you have walls that are not new and they have a little bit of damage, you might want to consider skim coating the walls, and that's basically taking some spackle or compound and using a wide spackle knife, and going over the walls, putting the skim coat, putting that material on the wall, and taking it right off. And what that does, when you wipe it on the wall with the spackle knife and then pull it right off completely, it'll fill in every little divot, every little dent. Paint tends to dry, especially some of the latex paints dry almost like with an orange peel. They have like little dimples in the paint. And over time, as you paint the walls more and more, they get more deeper and deeper dimples. So if you have walls that have a couple of coats of paint on them.
Like my ass.
I wasn't going to say that, but I'm going to take the high ground on that one and say, I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, I'm leaving that one alone.
Okay, good. Smart husband.
Does my ass look fat in this dress? No, definitely not. So skim coat your walls is another great way that you can really flatten them out. And also, especially on darker colors, the darker the color you go and the more sheen that you go, the more of those imperfections that you're going to use. So if you want to use a dark color, like we just painted one wall, it's almost like a barn red in our house. And I skim coated the walls first. And by the way, some colors require you to prime and do multiple coats of paint. Red is one of them. If you guys have never painted a wall red, you got to do a lot of work to paint the wall red. You actually have to tint the primer red, and then you're going to have to do about 3 or 4 coats of that paint to actually get it to cover. So certain colors require more work, and especially the darker colors, and you're going to want to skim coat and sand the walls and get them as smooth as possible, or you're going to see every little imperfection. All right, lastly, you can virtually paint your house. There are a lot of apps out there right now. Most of the big paint manufacturing companies offer on their websites things that you can do. You can click on that, take a picture of your room, and then you can plug in, like Behr, I think, does it. I'm pretty sure Benjamin Moore does it, and some of the other premium paints like Sherwin-Williams. You can take one of their colors off of their factory color and actually put it on your wall in that picture. If you don't find that, there's also a cool app called Paint My Place, which will allow you to do things like that. And the last thing I'm going to say to you guys is don't buy cheap paint. Spend money and get good quality paint, because like everything else when you're working around your house, there's a reason why it's cheaper. And especially when it comes to materials, you're going to get what you pay for. A good gallon of paint, a good premium gallon of paint is going to range between $40 and $50, not like $8 to $15. And the reason for that is there's pigments and there's different chemicals in the paint. Made above that paint is all different solvents and pigments and resins, and the better quality paints will have a higher concentration of those pigments and a higher grade of resins. So that's going to allow that paint to stick better, it's going to cover better, and in the end, you're going to wind up doing less coats to get the better coverage anyway. Word. So you're better off spending money and getting the best quality paint you can get. Don't feel bad about spending $40, $50 on a gallon of paint. I know it sounds like a lot. You might need 3 or 4 gallons to paint a room. But trust me when I tell you, it's going to make a huge difference in the appearance of that paint job.
It's like you can compare that to buying like a cheap, shitty pocketbook that like in 3-4 months is going to rip, it's going to have holes, it's going to stain, it's not going to hold up well, and then you got to buy another pocketbook. And then you got to buy another pocketbook. Right. Save yourself the fucking trouble. Buy yourself a Coach bag or something of the like, and that way you can have that bag forever.
I love how you manage to just work the F-bomb into everything. Save yourself the fucking trouble.
Yeah.
Some of the things that come out of that pretty mouth.
I don't even realize that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself today as I was looking at my fuck mug at work, the mug where it's got all the different fuck words on it, different fuck definitions.
Your coffee mug. I was like, what?
The new mug that I got. And I was thinking about the time, it was, I think it was about 8 years ago, when I was in a different office at work, and because I said fuck so much, somebody had given me, for some occasion, it was a packet of Post-its that have the word fuck. Like, it's like, they're like the little post-its that you stick on things. So one said, like, fuck this with an arrow, and this one said, like, fuck that with another arrow, and you know, do this fucking later. And so our boss at the time was a real fucking asshole. Oh my God, he was the worst
The one that
boss
said fucking asshole?
ever. I mean, he had the reputation of being the most difficult supervisor in the entire department. He was rotten. And he would send back everything you handed in with a Post-it and some bullshit like, you know, to change a word. It's like, dude, you were in the computer. You could have changed it and give it to the secretary so she can get it out to the court. Like, instead, he gives it back to us with a Post-it. Now you got to wait again, put it on his shelf, wait for him to review it, and then he's got to give it to the secretary. He could, like, hold up court paperwork for a week because you spelled a word or you didn't like a word you used or whatever. Stupid bullshit always.
Right.
So I would take these Post-its and I had put them on my filing cabinet and had a collection of his ridiculous Post-its. And then I took my little fuck Post-its and I would like put one pointing to one of his, like, that said fuck this and fuck that and, you know.
So this is in your office.
In my office, yeah, but it was at my desk, you know, so like it was viewed by me.
In your office behind your door. It's not
Right.
like you're not in an open public
Well,
working space.
at this time, this is when I had one of those. It was in Quorum when I was in one of those rooms with our team was in the room.
Right.
So there was like 1, 2, 3, 4, like maybe 5 or 6 of us in the same room, and we just had a desk, you know, but we had our own area.
Okay.
So I mean, the other people in my room knew because we were like teammates. You know what I mean? Like. So it was funny, and you know what I mean? Like in a stressful job, it's like something that makes you laugh. It lightens up the mood, you know? And we all hated this fucking guy together, so it was, you know what I mean? Fucking bitch, brown-nosing secretary goes and takes a snapshot of my Post-its with the Post-its.
That said fuck this and fuck that.
Yep. Shows it to him.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I think they ended up sending it up into my file.
Went to
you
your
know?
file.
It went to my file.
Wow, she ratted you out.
She totally did, for no other purpose than to be self-serving. Wow. So then I had to go in and explain to the guy.
How'd that work out for her? Did she like move up the ladder faster?
No, she didn't move up at all.
She
she's
moved
a
up the douche
county
ladder.
fucking exactly, because you're a county employee, motherfucker. No one's going to give you a promotion. You don't get promotions on the county. You know what I mean? You got to take a test. You got to pass it.
You got to work your way up like everybody else. Yeah, you got to work your way up.
Yeah, you have to pass a test and do well. That's how you get promoted.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
rat
Like
people out.
It doesn't matter who fucking how well you, how much.
So
how
all right, so get
brown
to
nose
the end of what happened.
So then I had to go in his office and I was just kidding. I didn't mean anything
sorry.
personal. But give me a fucking break. It's because you're a fucking asshole. It was the best fucking day when he retired. But let me tell you, if it wasn't for that motherfucking asshole, you and I might not have met when we did. I know that for a fact we would have met eventually.
See how everything happens? All right, so expand. Tell me about this.
So the
boss that you hated
that
was
I
responsible
fucking hated.
for us meeting.
Because at the time they were moving people around from different offices and units, because the probation officer job is very, very multifaceted. We do a variety of things in addition to community supervision and court investigations. There's many other things that we do. So they were talking about making people well-rounded, which is another word for saying we're going to move people around for no good fucking reason to make everybody miserable. So they were doing these changes, and at some point I was moved to the office to do investigations, and basically it had nothing to do with me getting well-rounded or from what they told me, because I'm the best writer in the office.
You were in the field prior to that, like kicking doors and serving warrants and doing drug searches and all that stuff. Right. Full gun belt and bulletproof vest and the whole deal.
Right, yeah. Out rolling around in the field, partner, all that business. So basically like, well, you're the best writer in the office, and they need, more good people in investigations. So I got transferred to this other office where I then wanted to paint my office because it was this ugly shithole that I got transferred to. And like 3-4 days after I got transferred to that office, I went to Home Depot to buy paint. And that was the night that I saw you for the first time.
That day. You were in there buying paint, and that's when
Yeah.
we ran into each other in the Home Depot
Yeah.
and fell
Right.
in love at first sight.
Right. The only reason I was moved was because the fucking guy didn't like me, because I am one of those employees that I have a difficult time keeping my mouth shut, and I challenge ridiculous decisions.
Right.
And so when somebody says something stupid that doesn't make sense, I question it.
Yeah, bosses don't tend to like that too much.
No, I can't. You know what? I'm physically incapable of keeping my mouth shut.
Right.
So when somebody says something really ridiculous that doesn't make sense, I have to question authority.
Well, so have you ever offered a thank you to him for, somehow
Nope, never offered him.
inadvertently being responsible for us meeting?
No, because I couldn't bear the sight of his disgusting face ever again. I never, ever wanted to be in his presence ever again.
Wow. Okay. I'd imagine there's a few people out there out of the 3 or 4 listeners that we have that probably possibly hate their boss as much as you did.
No, he retired, which, didn't really make a difference at that point because I had already been moved out of that office. And then a couple supervisors after that, I ended up having another rotten fucking asshole who, again, thank God he retired.
But that one in particular was somehow responsible for our cosmic
But the first one,
connection.
yes, was responsible for me meeting you when I did.
And see, it all comes back to paint. See
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. And Home Depot.
See, that's how I thought. Yeah, that's how I thought today. I'd offer a bunch of paint tips for everybody because you know what? Paint can do some wonderful things. Not only change the way your room looks, but it can change your whole life.
You are such a commercial. Okay. Okay.
And there you have it,
the
ladies and
paint
gentlemen,
tips.
and everything else.
I have
there's my Skip's tips.
Thank you for those tips. I have a tip.
You do.
Yeah. You know how I always like to recommend things that I just absolutely love and I think are the best.
Yep.
My experience lately with this Breyers gelato ice cream,
Oh yeah.
it's the best.
You came home with some kind of.
Oh, my
it's
God.
got some
There's so many good
Reese's
flavors.
Now, listen.
It's in the container that's the clear
I'm
container.
trying to stay good, trying to stay focused.
I know,
on
but
the
I'm still
diet,
going through depression.
Trying to stay camera ready, and you're coming home with gelato.
I have to because I'm one of those people that I have a smile on my face and I look like I'm fine, but I'm actually dying on the inside every single day, and I'm miserable and depressed.
I know you miss our dog. I know.
I can't even tell you. I'm gonna
So let me ask you:
implode one day.
does gelato is it helpful in your?
It just
It seems like it's helping.
Happy.
You're happy whenever you eat it.
It makes me happy to eat it.
So tell us about the gelato.
So this particular flavor that I just bought is peanut butter chocolate, and it's like a peanut butter flavored ice cream. It's got like this fudgy stuff on the top and these little peanut butter cups on the top.
Fudgy.
And it's got these like peanut butter chunky things throughout the peanut butter ice cream. It is amazingly delicious. They also have a like a white chocolate raspberry truffle type of a flavor. There's a tiramisu flavor, mint chip. The Breyers gelato. It's in the see-through container, and they are all amazing. They very far surpass the regular Breyers ice cream. I'm like addicted to it right now.
All right, Breyers also makes a carb.
Oh God, they have a low carb. Yeah, the carb conscious, the vanilla. That's the best vanilla ever. We did a blind taste test, and you chose it.
So, party people out there, I'm sorry, but I'm going to endorse the carb conscious ice cream, especially this time of the year. For those of you that are looking to fit back into your Speedos and bikinis, you may want to check out the carb conscious.
It really is very
ice cream,
good,
as opposed to the gelato that has about 50 billion calories.
Yeah. No, the carb conscious vanilla is actually amazing to not only eat by itself, but to put in smoothies. You know, if you want to add a little bit of flavor or texture to your, like, a fruit smoothie, vegetable, whatever, it's amazing.
You're about to get a smoothie in a few minutes. We're almost done with this podcast, right?
Yes, I've got. Oh my God! And I just need to bring up one more. I have like a what the fuck.
What the fuck?
Oh, do tell.
What the fuck? We've been out to eat twice this past week. Both restaurants, 2 different restaurants, have this new kiosk, little tiny monitor screen on the table.
Right.
Now, what this is, at a first glance, you see games on it and things you can do to keep you occupied when you want to ignore your partner
Anything to
while you're out to
swipe your credit card on there, right?
For them to get money and for you to ignore the person that you're out to eat with so that you can do something other than talking to them. So at first I was like, what? I don't, I have no interest in this thing whatsoever. So at some point, the waitress is coming over, and she's like, "Oh, did you want another beverage?" And I'm like,
by the
"Yeah."
way, as if the little supercomputer that everyone walks around with in their pocket, right, is not enough of a distraction and another opportunity for you to be rude to the guests that you're with.
Right.
You need something else now. You just need this tablet
on the table.
Yeah, that you can swipe your credit card and play about 100 different gambling games and every other thing you can think of.
But in addition to that, as I was saying, is that. What the fuck part of this is that as the waitress was coming by and asking us if we wanted another beverage, and we were like, yeah, refill. And she's like, oh, you can order it right on this. So she shows us that on the kiosk that you can actually order additional beverages or food. You can pay your bill on this thing. So in other words, it's replacing the duties of the waitress. So now I'm sure these waitresses are like, cool, everybody's got a kiosk and I don't have to keep checking on them, and they want something, they can just do it through the kiosk, and they don't, that's less work for them for the same money though. Because at the end, when you're paying your bill on the kiosk, it comes up, how much do you want to tip, and it tells you how much for each percentage. So they're getting the same tip for less work because the kiosk is doing you're doing the work at the table.
Which, by the way, it gives you a suggested tip, and it's like if you ever got in the back of a cab and first it shows you the tip that they think you should pay, and it's usually much higher than you would normally pay yourself, even if you're a good tipper, by the way, which I am.
Right.
I'm like, well, all right, well, that's okay.
It's a little excessive.
All right.
Yeah. So now
Just sign the title of your car over right here.
Right.
To the waitress.
Right. Now, I don't have a problem with things being more efficient. Like if it's going to get me a drink faster when I want one, great. If it's going to help us get the bill paid instead of waiting for somebody who's too busy bullshitting in the back, so we can just get the bill and pay it without having to ask for it, great. I'm all for efficiency. But what I think that the waitresses are failing to realize is that, like a grocery store, when they have the self-checkout line, it's going to eventually eliminate jobs. So in helping yourself, you're actually eliminating yourself now, people, because eventually, in the future, there will be some sort of service that is provided to bring the table the food directly from the kitchen without the help of a human.
It's going to be like a little conveyor belt. Or some kind of
or
robot
a robot that wheels over. Like as it is now, they have vacuums that are robots. You don't have to push a vacuum anymore. It will vacuum your whole house by itself and then put itself back on the charger. And I'm sure that it's not very difficult to create some sort of a rolling device to go from the kitchen to a specifically numbered table and bring the food. So with that in mind, not only is it helping the waitresses be more lazy for the same money, which by the way pisses me off that you're going to have to tip the same and they do less work, okay, but it's also going to be eliminating jobs in the future, which I think that all the waitresses should really rebel if they want to save their careers in the future.
Something to think about there, all the people in the service industry.
That's all I'm saying.
It's all about job security.
Yeah.
I think if you're looking to protect your job, you might want to smash all those kiosks, just kind of like, walk by. Just give it a little, oops, wow. I can't believe that thing fell off the table. Oh, there goes another one. I am so clumsy tonight. Oh my God. Oh, look, there goes another one.
Yeah. Yeah. Something else I wanted to mention. On Facebook, I'm getting some things like where I'll talk about something with the podcast, like anybody have any questions they want to ask, and people are like, oh, well, I don't have iTunes, or I have an Android and I can't get the podcast, or somebody else will be like, you guys aren't on Podcast One, what happened? Like, I'm not seeing the episodes on Podcast One anymore. People, are you listening to me when I say that we have a website, hammerandnailspodcast.com, because we say it every single episode. So if you're having trouble finding us, you can go to hammerandnailspodcast.com.
Well, if they're listening to us right now, they're probably not having trouble.
No, I don't know where, there's other places to find us. There's other podcast providers that have our episodes.
Right.
But
it's always on iTunes.
It's always on iTunes. Right. And in the event that iTunes on occasion does fuck up and it doesn't load properly to them,
right,
you can always go to hammerandnailspodcast.com.
And the good part about that is while you're perusing around on hammerandnailspodcast.com, you can also check out the rest of our very awesome site, by the way.
Yes.
And you can see tons of Skip's tips. You can see all sorts of stuff that we're doing, like appearances and all kinds of videos and pictures, and just have have a good old time.
Yeah.
There's about 100+ videos on there, clips from the show Catch a Contractor. There's all kinds of cool stuff to see.
Yeah,
So-
and our new podcast player actually has a lot more features than the last one did. So you can download things, you can share to other, your Facebook or your Twitter. You can you can do a lot
There's
of
a lot
other
of cool
things.
stuff on there. Also, a lot of the products that we recommend and things that we like to use and tools that I like to use and your whatever
Yep.
makeup and hair.
I put that
crap
on the
and every other
episode
kind of
summaries,
thing
and
that you-
also my recipes are on there. People have been asking me, "Where can I have your oatmeal cookie recipe?" Didn't I tell you it's on the website?
I got a special recipe I'm working on right now for you.
Thanks. Thank you.
And with
Thank
that,
you.
it's about time that we get going.
So we don't want you to forget that we really appreciate you guys listening. We appreciate you going to our website and using the Amazon link for when you go to shop on Amazon. You can also bookmark that on your internet browser because that really helps us out a lot.
yeah, we love you guys for doing that stuff. And tell your friends to check us out, too. Spread the word of Hammer and Nails Podcast. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks. We love you.
Bye.
Bye.